Hey everyone, it's Hamza. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a super important topic in .NET API. So we are going to cover DTOs and validators and manual mapping. If you have ever wondered why do we use DTOs instead of exposing our entities directly, or how to validate and map data properly, this video is for you. But before we jump into the code, let's first answer a crucial question. Why do we even need DTOs? Okay, imagine you are building an API for user management and you expose your user entity directly. Your entity might look like this. Okay, so now if we return this object in an API response, we are exposing a sensitive, which is password hash, and unnecessary property, which is created at. Okay, so which could be a serious security risk. Instead, we are going to use a DTO, which is data transfer object. So we are going to expose only the properties that we do actually need. So now our API is secure and optimized and structured better. Okay, what are the benefits of using DTOs? First, encapsulation and security. We only expose the required data. Second, performance optimization. We reduce the response size. Third, loose coupling. Protect API from database changes. 4. Validation control. Prevent invalid data from entering the system. 5. Prevention of overposting attacks. We restrict modified properties from being edited or changed. Okay, so first I'm going to remove these classes. Okay, and then I'm going to let me close all these tabs. I'm going to application. Okay, I'm going to create a directory. I'm going to give it a name of DTOs. Okay, so that's great. So I'm going to add a class. And as you can see here in our domain, in models, we have product. So I'm going to add a class. I'm going to call it product DTO. Okay, so that's great. So here we need to add two properties. First one is the name and the price. We don't need the ID because the ID is defined in the repository. So let's open product DTO, and first we need to add the name, and we need to add also the price. Okay, so public decimal price. Okay, that's great. Okay, so now I'm going to add the manual mapping. So I'm going to create a directory in the application. I'm going to call it mappers. Okay, and then I'm going to add a class. I'm going to give it a name product mapper. That's good. So here we need to add public static product, and here we're going to map to model. Okay, so that's great. And here we need to pass the product ID, product DTO. Okay, so that's great. Okay, well, let me add reference to this. Okay, that's good. So now we need to return a new product. Okay, so here we need to map the name with the product DTO dot name, and also for the price, product DTO dot price. Okay, that's good. Oh, sorry. So now we need to move to the controller. Okay, and we need to add the model DTO or the product DTO. So product DTO. Okay, and here the change model to product DTO. That's good. So, but let me add reference to this. Okay, here we need to change it to product DTO, and here we need to apply the mapping. So var product, and here we need to access the product mapper class. So product mapper dot map to model. Okay, and here we need to pass the DTO. Okay, that's right. And now we need to add a product to the database. Okay, that's good. Let's move to the update endpoint. So here I'm going also to change the product to product DTO and name it product DTO. That's good. And here we need also to set the product DTO, and here we need the product. So here I'm going to create a variable product mapper, the class we created before, and then map to model, and here we need to pass the product DTO. Okay, that's good. Here we don't need any DTO because we are not using any models. Okay, and as here also we don't need, because here we are getting the product. So let's try to test our code now and see if we need to pass the ID as we used to do before. So let's move to Postman, but first I'm going to start the project. Okay, so as you can see here, the create endpoint, we have a property name and price. So let's create a product 5, for example, and let's try to send the endpoint. Okay, as you can see here, we got 200, so that means the product is added with the DTO. So let's try to update product. Here we still need the ID. So if you try to send this request, you will get an error. Okay, here we got an error because the product not found. Okay, but here we have the ID. So here's the trick. So we're going back to our endpoint, and here we need to change our update method. So first I'm going to go to the interface. Okay, and I'm going to pass the ID with the product itself. Okay, sorry. So, and then I'm going to go to the repo and go to the update method, and here we need also to add the ID. Okay, that's good. So first we need to find the ID. Okay, we're going to the ID instead the model.id, and here if the product is null, product not found, that's great. And here the update method, that's good. And also we need to go to the update method endpoint and also add the here. Okay, add the ID and also pass the ID with the product to the update method. So let's save our progress and run our project again and see the result. Okay, so I made a small change here. I moved the ID to before the from body, and I added in the route the ID. So we are passing the ID from query. Okay, so we have two ways to do it. We can add an attribute from query, and we can just put it in the route. So I'm going to get rid of this and just pass it with the route. So let's go to the Postman and try to send the endpoint or the method. So here we are passing the ID, which is this, and here the method endpoint. So let's try to send the endpoint and see what we have got. Okay, great. As you can see here, we got a message, no content, as you can see here in the endpoint. Okay, so that means that we made the update successfully. So let's open the database and see what we have really got. So let's edit top 200 rows. Okay, as you can see here, the product with the ID name changed to product 5 and price changed to 24. So that's amazing. Let's move now to add a validators to the DTOs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in the application layer, I'm going to add a directory. I'm going to call it validators. Okay, so here we need to add a class where I'm going to call it product DTO validator. Okay. Okay, that's amazing. So now we need to add a package which is FluentValidation. I guess FluentValidation, yep, correct. So let's add this to the application. Okay, so now we are going to inherit from abstract validator, and here we need to pass the DTO, so product DTO. Okay, that's correct. So here we need to add a constructor, so public product DTO validator. Okay, and here we need to add the rules. So first I'm going to roll for here we need to access the name, so x.name. Okay, so here we can add rules. So first we need to set this property to not null. So first not null or empty. Let's use empty. Okay, and if it's empty, we're going to use a message. So with message, the name is what required. Okay, we don't need not null. Okay, that's correct. And here we can use another rule, which is maximum length. So we give 100, and with the message, name must not exceed 100 characters. Okay, that's true. Okay, now let's move to the next rule. So I'm going to add a rule for the price. So x price. Okay, so we need not empty with a message. With message price. Price is required. Okay, I don't think we need another validation, but we can add greater than 0, for example. Okay, because giving a price 0 for a product does not make sense. So now we have our validator is working perfect. So let's move to the controller and try to add our validators or validation in the create product endpoint and update product endpoint. But first we need to register the validation in the program.cs. Okay, so first I'm going to add a package which is fluentvalidation.asp.NET Core. Okay, so let's try to add it to our web API. Okay, that's great. So here we need to register the service or the package. So I'm going to builder services dot add validator from assembly containing our product DTO. Okay. Our product DTO. So product DTO validator. Okay, so that's great. So now we have our service registered in the program.cs. So let's move to the controller and add the validation. Okay, first in the controller, we need to add our validators. So I'm going to private read only, and here we need to use iValidator. Okay, and here we need to pass our DTO. Okay, so that's good. Let's give a name product DTO validator, and let's add it to the constructor. Okay, so that's good. So here now we need to apply the validation. So I'm going to create a variable validation result, and here we need to access the product validator, DTO validator, and here we need to validate a sync, and we should pass the product DTO. Okay, so that's good. Now we need, if the result have an error, okay, or it's not valid, we need to return a bad request with the validation result errors. Okay, so it will list all the errors or the validation message that we put before. So let's add the same validation to the update method or update endpoint. Okay, so let's copy and paste. That's great. Now let's try to run our project and test it on Postman and see if we got any error message as we defined before. Okay, now let's move to Postman and check if the validation works. So here I'm going to add a price of 0 and see what we have got. Okay, as you can see here, we got an error message, but it's not a good way to read. So we can add a method here or use something called here, going to first the error message. Okay, so let's try to run it again. Okay, let's try to run it again and see what we have got. Okay, as you can see here, we got a message, the price is required. Okay, let's try to put it, for example, 10, and we don't pass anything to the name. Okay, let's try to run it again. Okay, as you can see here, name is required. And that's a wrap for today. Now you know why DTOs are essential, and how to validate them using FluentValidation, and how to manually map these models in .NET API. I hope this video helped you understanding these key concepts and why they matter. So if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe for more .NET content, and turn on notification so you never miss an update. Also, let me know in the comments, do you prefer manual mapping or AutoMapper? Let's discuss. See you guys in the next video.